Yo, good morning, everybody. It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys a story. I don't know how I want to frame the story. I'm just going to share this with you, and then we'll just finish it up however we finish it up. Sometimes you tell a story, and it just is what it is, right? I don't know which direction I want to go with it. In 2021, I was working at the same location that I'm working now. Clearly, this is like I feel like every story that I come to you guys with, it always centers around the protests and the riots that were going on here in Portland. But that's my truth, and that's what I got to tell you, right? So 2021, this is still the height of the riot season, the protest season. A lot of issues going on with the Portland Police Bureau, a lot of issues going on with law enforcement across the country, right? And that plays a part into what I'm going to tell you. So I'm working security. We get a call that there's a fight. We had bathrooms upstairs on the 3rd floor at the time. So we get a call that there's a fight between two guys in the bathroom. So myself, another security guard, loss prevention manager, we go up to the bathroom. We approach two individuals that are in the middle of a scuffle. Right as we get up there, they kind of break it up, kind of break off or whatever. So the one guy, he's like, yeah, the guy that's in there, he just punched me. He said he's going to burn the whole building down, right? So the guy comes out of the bathroom and he's pointing at the other guy, and the other guy's like, hey, look, I'll leave. I don't want any trouble. I'll leave, right? So the other guy that got punched, and this is kind of a normal type customer, he's like, yeah, I want to press charges against this guy. He just fucking swung on me like I'm about to beat his ass. So we de-escalate everything. We calm down. The guy himself who got punched, ultimately, he leaves. The guy who punched him, who has now said that he's going to burn down the store, he stays in the bathroom, and he has a large duffel bag. So myself, the other security guard, and the loss prevention manager, we're trying to coax this guy out of the bathroom. So after about 10 minutes of conversation, trying to convince the guy that it's not worth it, right? He agrees to come out of the bathroom and leave the store. So he comes out, and for the most part, he's kind of calm. We walk downstairs. Remember, we're on the 3rd floor. We take the stairs, we get downstairs, and we're walking through the main interior of the store, which is now the 2nd level, and we're going around the exit and down an escalator that's going to put us into the garage area, right? We're trying to get this guy to go out the garage. So from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor, and from the 2nd floor to the bottom of the escalator, the guy is perfectly compliant. He's like, yeah, whatever. Yep, it's all good. As soon as we get to the garage, he starts freaking out. He turns around, he's like, I want to fucking kill you. And he's like screaming and he's yelling, and he's got this big ass duffel bag. So, we're trying to de-escalate. Hey, just go. We don't want to fight, doing the whole thing. At this point, he's now standing in the garage, and his back is facing the entrance, like the garage entrance, which has a main street that runs along parallel to that. So while this guy is yelling and screaming, making threats, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I've got a gun in my bag. So he starts reaching into his bag, and I draw my taser on him. Right as I draw my taser on this guy, tell him to stop, tell him not to move, we have an outside parking lot security guard. At the time, this guy's only job is just to do circles around the building, move vagrant people along, kind of keep an eye on things, be a spotter. At the exact same time that I pull my taser on this guy, the outside security guard is walking by that entrance, and a police car drives really slowly right by the entrance. So we start yelling to that outside security guard. We're like, John, get the police. So he runs and he flags down the police officer. So at this point, I've got the guy at taser point, right? He has now heard that the police are outside behind him. He turns and looks and sees the police car, and he kind of slumps his shoulders like, oh shit, like I'm caught, right? So he starts walking towards the exit, and we're following behind him at a decent distance. Right as we break that entrance, I can see that the cop is now down at the corner about 45 feet away from me talking to John, the outside security guard, right? So we wave at the outside security guard. He kind of looks at us, and the subject walks across the street, takes off his duffel bag, sets it down, and sits down on the curb. It's almost like he's just like, yeah, I'm giving up. I see the cop there. I'm not going to run from the cop, right? So I can see John like talking and pointing over to us, and the cop is like looking out the car like this, and he's kind of shaking his head. And I'm like, yeah, he's right here. This is him right here. And the cop just kind of does this, and then I'm like, yeah, that's him, that guy right there. And the cop goes, and he waves me down there. So I walk down, and I'm like, hey, officer, yeah. So this guy got into a fight with the guy upstairs, that guy right there, the guy sitting down. He got into a fight with the guy upstairs. He punched the guy. When we got there, we separated him, we broke him up, and the guy starts yelling and screaming that he's going to kill us. He's going to burn the store down. He said he has a gun in his bag. He's reaching in his bag. I had to hold him at taser point. I'm like all out of breath, you know what I mean? Like just overly dramatic, out of breath, all this shit, right? And so the cop goes, yeah, is he homeless? And I'm like, I don't know. I look at him, I'm like, I don't know, maybe, I guess. And he goes, yeah, man, I ain't trying to get jammed up today. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so yeah, he's right over there. And he goes, yeah. He was like, well, where's the victim at? Where's the guy? I said, I don't know. I mean, he was upstairs. Maybe he left. He goes, yeah, you don't have a victim, so I don't want to get jammed up. And I said, okay. I said, hang on a second here. I was like, I work for the store. I'm the representative of the store, okay? So forget the guy that he got into the fight with, right? Forget the guy he got into the fight with, all right? So he is telling me he's going to burn the store down, right? He is threatening to kill me, to kill my associates here. He's reaching into his bag like, you know, there has to be like a disorderly, you know, we'd like to have him trespass. There's something there. Can you please? So while me and this officer are going back and forth like this, the fucking guy just gets up. This whole conversation takes like 5 minutes. The guy gets up, grabs his duffel bag, and kind of looks at the cop like, and just starts walking down the street. I'm like, yo, he's leaving. He's leaving right there. Now, keep in mind that this is during the time when, like, we're not getting any police response. The police bureau at the time was basically taking the stance that since there was this national call for transparency, this national call for accountability, there was this us versus them mentality with police and the constituents of culture, because during this time, there was this big referendum on law enforcement. And you had a lot of law enforcement agencies and a lot of law enforcement officers that kind of just took the stance that if you're going to question how we do things, then fuck you, we're just not going to do anything. That sentiment was very, very big here in Portland. It was like, well, if people don't appreciate the police, if you want to defund the police, then we're just not going to respond to anything. We're not going to do anything. Like, you don't want us to be involved, we're not going to be involved. I'm not saying anything about that dynamic. That was just the dynamic that was going on to give you context of what I'm talking about. So now the guy just walks off. So I'm like, right? And so I just turn around and I walk away. And I was like, what did I say? I don't know. I'm sure I said something. I don't remember exactly what I said in this instance. But as I'm walking away, the cop says, hey, he goes, you have your DPS SD card, right? Which is like my state certification card. And I go, yeah. He goes, hey, do me a favor. He's like, when you have time, go online and look up probable cause. That might help you understand what's going on here. I said, I don't need you to give me any advice, because the last thing that I want you to have to do is do your fucking job. And he like slams the door open. He goes, hey, get over here. Get over here right now. So at this point, I'm like, 20 feet away from the guy, right? And I mean, he said it with his chest. And so I turned and looked at him. I said, excuse me? He goes, get over here right now. And I walk over. He goes, you got a problem? You got a problem? And I went, have you lost your fucking mind? I said, you've lost your mind, right? I said, you're going to come over here. We're telling you that a person assaulted someone on our property. I'm telling you this person has threatened to burn our building down, which in Portland, especially in 2021, had some weight behind it because shit was on fire, right? I was like, He tells me that he's going to kill me, and he's reaching into his bag. You don't want to even approach him. But the fact that I said something that you don't like, you're demanding that I come over here, you're going to get out of your car now? I'm like, you have clearly lost your mind. So we go back and forth, right? Clearly, like, probably not the best moment of my career in security, because I'm sitting here arguing with this cop, right? Who clearly, whatever. So as this is going on, a second police car pulls up. Second officer gets out, and he's like, hey, what is the problem? Because me and this guy are going back and forth. I'm like, hey, I said, listen to me. You just got here, all due respect. I'm going to explain the scenario to you. You tell me if this is right or wrong. I lay everything out to the cop. The cop listens to me, and when I get to the end of it, the cop like looks at the other officer, and he goes, well, I wasn't here, so, and I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous, right? So the cop goes, he goes, hey, he was like, you know what? That guy has freedom of speech. He was like, you know what freedom of speech is, right? You know what the First Amendment is, right? He goes, for instance, and then he gets right up in my chest, and he goes, I could tell you anything. Matter of fact, I could tell you I'm gonna fucking kill you right here where you stand, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. That's what he said to me. I could tell you that I'm gonna kill you right where you stand, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. And my response to him was, you know what? I believe you. And that's the problem. There isn't anything that I can do about it. I'm going to go ahead and get your card. I'm going to get your badge number. I'm going to make a complaint. And I guarantee you that nothing is going to happen to you. And that is the problem. So at this point, I'm not backing down. He's not backing down. And the way that he's talking on this cash money shit, I'm not feeling like this is about to go anywhere positive, right? The loss prevention manager, good friend of mine at this point now, he's watching all this, and he grabs me. He's like, let's go. So we go upstairs, dude. I am fuming. I am like, literally, I could spit nails, and I'm seeing red. It took me 30 minutes to calm down, because I was not in a good place. To add insult to injury, when I reached out to people in the security industry and I shared this story, everybody told me not to say anything. They were like, you know what, man, don't say anything about it. I had some people that I really respected, some people that I really looked up to, and they were like, you know what, it's really hot out here right now for the cops. Like, this ain't gonna look good if you make a big deal out of it. You know, just stand down. I had someone else that told me, hey man, look, at some point you're gonna need those cops to show up. Whether it's him, whether it's somebody else on the force, you're going to need a police response. And the last thing that you want to do is make yourself a pariah. You don't want to have yourself painted as, you know, a troublemaker, somebody that's against the force. Like, don't go down this road, because you're going to need them to respond. So don't say anything, don't do anything, don't go forward with whatever actions you're looking to take. Those three things were very, very, I don't want to say life-changing, but very career-altering for me. Very career-altering. Because from the police officer side, he is telling me, I can tell you that I'm going to fucking kill you. Now think about the weight and the gravity of what a police officer is saying in the context of the time frame in which that conversation was taking place. 2021, Portland, mass protests, like huge political movement, right? For someone to feel so emboldened and so comfortable to say that, especially in that context, that was number one. Number two was being told that if I were to make a report about this, if I was to go forward with this, push this issue in any way, that somehow that would reflect bad on me in terms of my duties as a security guard. That was going to be a negative reflection of me and how I carry myself to have a problem with someone in that position telling me that he could kill me and there was nothing that I could do about it. Right? And the third thing would be that in some way there would be some sort of retribution of non-response. The non-response to anything that happens at the location or any location where I work, that is an issue that is going to befall the people that are there. I'm the security guy. I have on the vest, I have the gun, I have everything that I need to protect myself. It's the other people that are in that location that need that response. When we call for the police, we're not calling them for us, we're calling them for them. So that lack of response as a some sort of payback for me isn't affecting me. It's affecting the client, it's affecting the people, it's affecting the taxpayers. Those three aspects of that really, really, really shifted my viewpoint of security. It shifted my viewpoint. I don't want to say it shifted my viewpoint of law enforcement, but that was a very pivotal experience. So what was the outcome, right? Well, I write a letter. I got all my Karen shit, right? Because what else can you do? I write a letter and make phone calls to they put me in contact with the lieutenant that was over this guy. We'll call him Officer F. I won't say his name. I also filed a complaint, excuse me, with the ACLU. We went back and forth. This whole thing got drawn out for 6 months. All I wanted was transparency and clarity on why this was okay. I didn't think that there was going to be any sort of repercussion. I mean, hell, the dude told me there wasn't going to be any repercussion. But I wanted clarity, I wanted transparency, so I started this process of a complaint. Police Bureau reached out to me and said, hey, we want to bring you in, we want to have a mediation. We want to sit you down with Officer F. We want to talk about what happened and see if we can come to some sort of agreement as to how to fix this whole thing, right? So, all right. And this ball got kicked around for a couple more months. I just felt like they were dragging their feet, hoping that maybe I wouldn't respond to an email or maybe I would just let this whole thing go away. Ultimately, I get a letter from the police department that says Officer F has decided on his own accord to leave the Portland Police Bureau. I don't know if he left and resigned. I don't know if he went somewhere else. I don't know what he's doing. But they said since he no longer works here, it's not our issue any longer to discuss. Case closed. Done. No conversation needed. No apology. No explanation. Hey, he doesn't work here anymore. We're done. ACLU was like, hey, when he said this, did he say anything about your race? I'm like, no. Okay, was there anything that, insinuated your sexuality? No. Okay, so it was just him talking to you like man to man on some personal shit? Like, yeah, I guess. All right, well, that's not really, that doesn't really ring enough bells here in Portland, so we're gonna pass on that. I did not want any sort of compensation. I wasn't looking for money in that situation. What I wanted was to hold this person accountable. Now, you could say he was held accountable if indeed he was pressured or put in a position where he felt like he needed to resign. If he's no longer a cop and he's doing something else, he doesn't have a badge and a gun and the ability to obviously police in the way that he was carrying himself, maybe that was the best possible outcome, right? But for me, I wanted to have that conversation with somebody in charge. And in a way, in a very real way, that officer was exactly right. There is not a goddamn thing that you can do about it. Except come on here and talk to you guys about it. Share my experience. And I will tell you that it lit a fire of accountability for me for not just police officers in general, but accountability in general. And I do have a platform and I do have a voice. And when I see things like that moving forward, I will talk about it. And I do have my connections to get enough attention to make things happen if need be, from a media standpoint. So, like I said, when I first started this conversation this morning, I didn't know how I wanted to wrap this up. I still don't know how I want to wrap it up. Maybe that's the beautiful thing. Maybe we don't wrap this up with a bow. I'm sharing with you an experience. That is one experience. People say that your experiences, they color your perception. Your experiences color your attitude and your outlook. So I am sharing with you one experience that I had working in security with law enforcement. You guys take that information, do with it what you will. It's not an aspersion on the entire law enforcement industry. It's not an aspersion on the entire Portland Police Bureau. It's one officer. One officer, one interaction. But it was an officer and it was an interaction. So, all right, I am trying to turn this corner. If everybody would quit walking so damn slow, goodness gracious. People in crosswalks act like they have nowhere to be. It's crazy. Let me check these comments real quick. Okay. All right, cool. Nothing of significance. All right, guys. Y'all be great. Take care.